People of Reddit, what was the most NSFW event you ever stumbled upon in high school? Went to a Christian boarding school. You'd be surprised the amount of fingers in vaginas during chapel. My high school had to ban blankets after 2 freshmen were caught having sex under one in the middle of the art hallway. I walked into a bathroom after a fight. Broken mirror, blood smeared on the wall and floor, water everywhere, probably unrelated to the fight, and a lot of bloody tissues in the sink. Oh, and there was a turd in the urinal. I hope that was unrelated to the fight. A freshman got jerked off by his girlfriend under the table in the cafeteria, during lunch. Someone sitting near them noticed was happening, took a video, and posted it online. The administration quickly found out, the video was taken down, and all 3 involved were suspended. The dudes from the class where I was from before I changed classes, started doing group masturbating sessions in the locker room before or after pee. That shit smelled like rotten oysters after. The next class was always fucked because of the smell. I was a dildo peddler for a while at school. Girls who wanted sex toys but didn't want to buy them themselves, or couldn't, would pay me the cost and a bit extra for me to get it for them simply because I had no shame as a 17-year-old. High school bus hit a deer. Police were called. Deer was shot 3 times in front of the bus to put it down. Watched it from the parking lot while skipping school. I'm very sure some guy will make a video about this post with a robotic voice. I ran cross-country in high school. Sometimes during practice we would run through trails in the woods surrounding the high school. One day right after school ended we started running down the trails and stumbled upon 2 students having sex. Judging by their reactions, I don't think they were expecting a group of 15 guys to run by while they were getting it on. We had a girl who would sit in the back of the bus and seemed to always have a different dude sit next to her. Turns out she was giving guys hand jobs for a small price. Had a guy run through the school completely naked. High school, by the way. Even ran up and slapped some teacher's ass. Haven't heard of him since, but they was like 5+ years ago. We had to go outside for a physics experiment, but on the way from the classroom to the field, there was a bloody trail, because a girl had just been stabbed in the bathroom and run to the nurse. She'd moved to the country less than a month prior, gotten mixed up with some shady people, and the 14-year-old hid in the bathroom stall before jumping out and trying to stab her in the face. She put her arms up and only had superficial injuries, but she never came back. Poor girl had PTSD last time I checked. 8th grade sex ed teacher showed us a video of a woman giving birth. Very close shots, very graphic, very disturbing to most 8th graders. Weird kid in the class tucks his arms into his shirt and starts jerking off to the fully dilated vagina being shown on the 200-inch projector screen. The seniors in the photography class got caught banging in the dark room. Used condom left wrapped around the tap on the sink in the boys' toilets. A week later it was still there. A month later there was another one next to it. Not me, but a friend of mine who was yearbook photographer. She was a real thin, awkward, geeky high schooler and was asked to photograph a day in the life of the swim team. Our school had the football fever and so other sports were always trying to get more than a few mentions in the yearbook packed with dozens of football shots. So my friend showed up to the swim team practice, and later state tournament. She was asked to join them at their victory party, which was at someone's house with its own pool and hot tub. When she got there, most of the team was already drunk, and not an adult in sight. There were also a lot of girlfriends of the team there, and more than once, my friend was asked to join them naked in the hot tub. Sex was pretty freely flowing, and she strived constantly to get acceptable photos instead of the wanton depravity around her. At one point, some naked girl was chugging while she was in the cowboy position screwing on top of her boyfriend while everyone cheered her on. They kept begging my friend to take photos, and she refused in horrified shock. Some of the guys got really handsy with her until finally she picked a time when they were distracted, and she left. She later was crying to her best friend because she felt so stressed out and it was nothing like she expected. Sort of like showing a 10-year-old Caligula when they were expecting Toy Story 2. Only one photo made it to yearbook from that party, a hot tub photo where she had to crop out the beer keg, and everyone's body was below the waterline so you couldn't tell they were naked. In 8th grade we went on a class trip to Hershey Park. 2 girls gave a guy a blowjob on the bus ride home next to a sleeping chaperone. They eventually got caught, and that's why there are now no co-ed buses in the district. This was also in 2002. Legend has it that a guy in my sophomore or junior year used to sit next to his GF and get hand jobs during English class. Me and 3 others found a sex dungeon underneath the auditorium in the back storage room. The girl who ran it was a junior who fucked a good portion of the football team there. There was a bucket filled quarter way with used condoms. Fun day. A sophomore at my school gave a freshman a donut filled with cum. He got criminal charges. Edit, I have no idea what the charges were. I do know that he got fired from his job and expelled. I don't know much else besides the sophomore was dating the freshman's friend also. I have never seen Van Wilder or any of the other movies people are suggesting. One guy flashing his dick at the teacher, and also one dude was caught in the bathroom giving a blowjob. We had 2 people fucking under the band bus in the mud at a contest. No one thought it would be a bad idea for the cross-country team to have thin white uniforms until we had a race in a thunderstorm. So many flashbacks of penises swaying with each stride. Friend of mine got with our art teacher, who was an ex-stripper. Walked into a bathroom after school and found a guy and a girl about to go to town. She had her shirt off and skirt up, he had his pants on. I mean, I caught them just before the moment of insertion. I said nothing. I would have left them to it, except all other bathrooms on campus except this one were always locked shortly before last bell. So I silently walked to a urinal, calmly did my business, properly washed my hands. By the time I went to leave, the girl was hiding in a stall and the guy was waiting by the door. I shrugged at the guy shrugged back. I left and heard the door lock behind me. Not one of us said anything or made a sound during the entire exchange. Edit, for everyone calling it a power move, I appreciate it, but I just didn't wanna have to pee in the bushes. We always threw house parties at my friend's house. One day I went to grab my jacket from one of the rooms and I heard some moaning and groaning, so I thought it was just a couple hooking up. I flipped the lights on BC. I couldn't find my jacket and saw that 3 of the track girls were butt naked finger banging and eating each other out. Instead of just standing there and watching or trying to participate, my nerdy high school self said hi, waved, and said have fun. As I walked out giving them privacy. Later on that year, I ended up dating one of the girls and would always try to mention it and maybe try to get a threesome going. Never happened though. She said it was just a drunk moment. I went to a small party at my friend's house. My girlfriend and I got there late. We went in and noticed nobody was in the living room. Weird. They said they'd be here. Start walking to the back and I could hear several voices in the bedroom. I just opened the door and there were 7 of my friends just having a casual orgy. Not me specifically. But 2 kids in my Catholic high school fucked in the bathroom and someone caught them and videotaped it. They posted it online. Our school made the news and now they measure girls' skirts if they look too high, as well as banning phones. Not really NSFW, just my most vivid HS memory. It was the biggest poop I'd ever seen. Just one huge log, to my memory the size of the toilet bowl. It definitely didn't fit down the hole and had to be removed by a janitor. Everyone told their friends about it and one by one we all went and checked it out. Also no toilet paper in the bowl. All that was there was the one big fat legendary turd. It physically hurts me to think about how it came out of a butthole. Edit, I would just like to add that I am touched and humbled by all of your poo-related stories. In this time of division and opposition, let us all remember we are united by poo. In middle school the health teacher went to show a video on the projector and I guess he had porn on his video player. He offered everyone A's to keep quiet. He was fired, then went to work for a Catholic school. There was a kid. We will call him CB. He was notoriously a bad kid. Always in fights, getting kicked out of school, etc. Anyways, his locker wasn't next to mine, but it was really close. He and I never had problems because I purposefully avoided him. One day another kid, we will call A, C and C, B, got into an argument. It led to a pushing and shoving match and some shit talking, but got separated really quickly. The next day A, C was walking past our lockers and C, B pulled a literal crowbar out of his locker, ran up behind A, C and hit him in the back of the head so hard that blood hit me in the face. Part of A, C, S scalp literally half folded over the back of his head as he was on the floor. C, B started hitting him in the back and the back of the head with it. Other students jumped on him and held him down. An ambulance took A, C, to the hospital. His skull was fractured and he had broken ribs. I had to get checked out because of the blood exposure. No idea where C, B went, but I never saw him again. This was junior high, but one kid who we suspected was gay gave another kid who we did not suspect was gay a blowjob in the bathroom stall. And for what? A hollow foil Clefairy Pokemon card. A girl, freshman, went viral on Snapchat because the guy she was giving head to recorded her and said it was terrible during the recording. She's now dating, and cheating on, the guy we called Cherry Picker. I go to Catholic school, and besides a teacher pedophilia scandal every year, I'm not kidding, the kid that played the Pornhub intro on the drums that is spreading around the internet happened at my school. Went to teacher's room to get some papers that my Portuguese teacher had forgotten and stumbled at my gym and biology teachers kissing each other really hard over the meeting table. I mean, they didn't even notice me, and oh, it was a Catholic school, and they were both married. BTW, my face when I returned to class without the papers must have been priceless. Edit, I'm usually more of a lurker myself here, so wasn't expecting this amount of hate and on. Ha. Thanks for all, folks, hope you've liked it. Was walking around outside my high school and saw a dude leaning up against a wall getting a blowjob. They didn't see me, so I quietly turned around and walked away. I'm a teacher who teaches in a high school. First day on the job, had two kids beating cheeks in the back of one of my shop cars. Should specify I'm an automotive teacher. Pretty NSFW if you ask me. Girl gave a blowjob to a guy and his friends filmed it. It was the talk of the school and she changed schools. 2 years later she came back and sucked a different guy's dick by the same dumpster. No one filmed it this time. Okay, 2 stories, one NSFW but still messed up. Janitor in elementary school died while mopping the floor, and somehow this didn't get around the entire school and my entire class saw them taking his covered up body out the front door. Another is walking in on several people giving BJs in the band room. It became a daily thing and I should have known to also knock on the practice room doors before entering. I went to a boarding school my freshman year of high school, and a few weeks in, I volunteered to help walk our librarian's dog for her while her leg was healing after an injury. So I was walking this huge dog through the woods around campus when he suddenly sniffed the air and just ripped the leash out of my hands and took off into the underbrush. I started chasing after him when I heard screaming and yelling. I thought, oh god, this dog mauled someone and I'm going to get expelled. Broke through a clearing and there were 5 half-naked upperclassmen trying to put their clothes on and scatter while this dog is joyously barking and jumping up on and licking them. TLDR, accidentally interrupted an orgy in the woods with my librarian's dog. Edit, I guess since so many people are asking, yes, it was a co-ed school and yes, both sexes were represented. Some kid at a party got blackout wasted and shat himself. In the middle of the crowd he took his pants down and slipped in it, proceeded to army crawl to try and make it out but just smeared it everywhere. He is still known as the party pooper. We had many PCs in our school. And every computer room had a projector. So once when the teacher was ill and no replacement came, we were in that room. Someone started the projector and quickly found out that every porn site he tried is blacklisted. But playing from USB apparently works fine. We later found out, not only are the connections whitelisted, but also fully monitored. Not long after the movie show with sound and everything started, the IT tech guy comes with a substitute teacher. That internet search history was apparently enough for them to suddenly have a substitute teacher for us. Edit, for anyone interested, we were around 16 or 18 males and 4 girls in class. I can't remember how many were there that day. A creepy 45-year-old teacher was caught watching porn twice by the same girl, and both times it was a Braves fetish and a schoolgirl thing, and the girl that caught him wore skirts and had braces. No, he was never fired or even talked to after going to the board, and yes, this is public school. In middle school some kids walked in and started having sex in the stall next to me while I was pooping. Eventually they smelt my presence. In band before a football game, I walk into the percussion room to hang with the homies. Everyone is huddled around this dude in the corner of the room laughing, so of course I walk over to check it out. Turns out the dude was showing everyone how tiny his dick is, and everyone was so fascinated. Yeah, it was really small. Like from the tip of your pinky to the first knuckle down. I've never seen anything like it, lol. Edit, I know it, called a micropenis. LMFAO. What kinda schools do y'all go to, Lamau? I heard my parents having sex during math class. I am homeschooled. When I was in middle school, someone jerked off and finished on his desk in the middle of class. The story is legend in our area, and it's been retold so many times that it's hard to figure out what actually happened after he finished. So I'll give you each ending I've heard from different people. He finished and it shot across his desk onto the girl's hair in front of him. The teacher heard something happening, went over and saw it on the desk and put her finger in it. He just cummed over himself and got kicked out of class. He got suspended and a few years later got caught peeing outside and put on the sex offenders list. The guy is really funny and pretty chill now. He has a lot of stories about him and they're all amazing. Middle school boy in the shower fully tucked doing a dance. Strange days, the 80s. Not me, but a few freshmen encountered sophomores having sex on a hill my school had for cross country and I think football. And then someone marked that hill on Google Maps. Freshman year of high school, football team is out practicing. A senior varsity player came into the freshman locker room, cut all the locks off our lockers, and stole our clothes. Nice enough to take wallets and phones etc. out of pockets and leave them in the lockers though. Idiot didn't realize the hallway cameras had him the whole time. Most of us chose not to shower until we got home, and as a team proceeded to leave in groups in undershirts and boxers or no shirts and boxers. After getting a call, our rides were there. Small town, small school, so ultimately he was just benched for a few games, suspended for a day or two, and his parents had to buy a bunch of padlocks. Edit, rip in box, thanks so much. We'll try to get to some comments. People snorting crushed up pills in the bathroom right off of the sink. This was in the early 2000s. Girl at my HS my sophomore year got caught eating a guy's ass in the theater by our principal. Oh man, I've got a good one for this. So I'm in HS theater class and have been helping the teacher out with a lot of tasks like setting up the green room and stuff, just little helpful stuff. Well, apparently one of us left the door unlocked and unattended for a little too long. In our green room were 2 big blue couches that were the most uncomfortable things I had ever sat on. Teacher comes running into the room from the hall and says suddenly to Keela, I think someone is in the green room. Go with me so I can have a witness. Thinking nothing of it, I go. We stand by the door and someone is most deaf in there, making some pretty unusual sounds. I realize what the sound is a half second before the teacher throws the door open to 2 kids from my class getting down on that couch. I only had like 2 seconds of view time before the teacher screams, "Good golly, Miss Molly," and slams the door. I sat outside the door crying from laughing for about 20 minutes before they knocked on the door to be let out, realizing we had the stage completely locked down. The look on their faces when the principal let them out and led them to his office will forever be in my mind. Can you imagine? Balls deep about to blow and from over your shoulder, good golly, Miss Molly. I dream of it sometimes and still wake up laughing. Edit, words are hard. Fresh jizz on a locker room bench. A kid pulled his pants down in Spanish class and pissed in the corner. A kid with a mental handicap who would vigorously masturbate in AP Political Science at least once a week. Edit, one day in AP Poli-Sci, the kid with Asperger's sat alone in a row of empty chairs all closely placed together directly in front of the teacher. In the middle of class, he reclined across 4 adjacent seats and went to work in his pants. At my angle, I could see everything. The tent. His forearm was toning up and down. The veins in his neck. He stuck out his tongue and curled his toes, taunting us like that for 5, maybe 10 seconds, before the teacher shouted at him. This kid did weird shit, but he was in a number of my AP classes and, I think, legitimately earned his way. He carried our team's ass in AP Britlit junior year during in-class Jeopardy games. And way too many of y'all shared this pissing in Spanish class experience for us to be in the same class. What's going on out there? A guy and a girl got caught doing anal in the hallways in a neighboring school. Drugs. The janitor didn't cordon off the area when someone spilled a large half-gallon of milk. One student ran into cafeteria, slipped and busted his butt. The janitor was suspended for 1 day. Lights stay on at homecoming because people will have sex on the bleachers. No blankets for obvious reasons. On every field trip someone gets fingered on the bus. Teachers have learned not to look into cars before school. I live in the Midwest though, so there's not much else to do. Edit for the punctuation. I'm normally a grammar Nazi, but I'm using mobile on a new phone and it seemed like it was punctuated right at the time I posted it. A bunch of kids did the deed under the bleachers during a pep rally. Nobody knew until they found multiple used condoms while cleaning up. Sex education. Nothing really ever happened at my school. A lesbian orgy in the girls' bathroom. Edit, for the person asking, my friend told me about it. What happens in the locker room should stay in the locker room. With that said, I once walked in on a kid shoving a crucifix up his ass on a dare from his friends. A student masturbated in front of the fucking teacher. In secondary school, a boy brought in a live chicken and snapped its neck. A guy hanging from the theater rafters by one arm. A bunch of guys from the athletics class got mad at a kid from mine for cheating during dodgeball, so they walked into the locker room fucking naked and whipped him with towels. I just walk in and see someone's dong flopping around like a corrupted body part in a PS1 game before he leaps off the bench and goes apeshit on the guy. I noped the fuck out and waited in the hallway with everyone else. Before anyone asks why didn't I or anyone else help, the coaches were nowhere to be found and we were scrawny freshmen against football and wrestling players in good shape. The guy eventually comes out drenched in sweat, calls us assholes, then kicked one of our backpacks. Apparently a senior last year got a blowjob in the cafeteria during lunch, then afterwards stood up in front of everybody, dick hanging out, and yelled, "I'm the king of the world." And then 2 girls were found having sex in the cafeteria during lunch. This is NSFW in a different way than most of the stories here, but when I was in high school I liked to go to the balcony of our theater to take naps during my free periods. It was dark, quiet, and usually empty, which made it such an ideal spot for napping. One day I walk up the stairs and see a girl from the grade below me that I sort of knew cutting herself with scissors. She freaked out and ran away. I eventually caught up with her and we had an intense conversation. We became friends after that day and I encouraged her to start seeing a therapist, which helped her a lot. Unfortunately, we lost touch when her parents moved to a different state and sent her to some boarding school. This was in the 90s. 2 people were caught having sex behind the curtain on the gym stage by the master of custodial arts, or janitor, if you want to be a dick about it. He said hi to both and walked out. Dave was cool. A junior boy filmed 2 sophomore girls having sex and, of course, he made copies and passed them around. One copy landed in the dean's hands and she called both girls and their parents in and fucking watched it. There were definitely girls snorting coke in the bathrooms, teachers choking out and punching kids. You know, the usual. One of the popular kids who rode my bus got caught whacking it with his sister's panties by his buddy who also rode our bus. His time of bus dominance immediately came to a screeching halt. In middle school we went on a field trip to the county jail. Man, for some reason, went in to see the showers and I was behind with my friend. Some boys in the class went in first and then my very sheltered religious friend went in. All of a sudden she started screaming and it turns out an inmate that they somehow forgot to get out of the showers was spanking the monkey, right then and there, in front of middle schoolers. Edit, this is the most upvotes I've ever gotten on a comment on Reddit lol. At high school homecoming we formed a mosh pit blocking view from faculty, and a couple was having sex in the center. Oh man. We were at the football game and were high as shit. It was among my first few times smoking. We started fucking around in the woods which was a decent distance away. Next thing you know this naked senior comes running by screaming and then we see flashlights like way behind him and got paranoid as shit. We all started sprinting along with him and ran so fucking far. After we got away we all threw up and went our separate ways. Didn't walk in on it, but a kid was caught jerking off to hentai on one of the school computers. They had to get rid of the computer after he was caught. Freshman year. I needed to go take a piss and I just hear loud clicking and smacking noises in the stall next to me. An hour later I found a dude was having a girl suck him. Worst part was said girl was dating a different guy. I don't think they're dating anymore. Not really NSFW, but when I was in elementary school I was getting my little sister's homework because she went home sick and I walked into her teacher's classroom. She was sitting there with my gym teacher all giggly. They ended up getting married, having a family, and the gym teacher is now the principal of the high school. He's a great guy. I told him about that day I walked into that class and he had a big laugh. I've been out of school since 2013 but him and I still keep in touch. Edit, the gym teacher was in the classroom with my sister's teacher, not my sister. The two teachers are now married. Please don't call the FBI. Witnessed some girl wearing underwear, a tank top no bra, and shoes getting escorted out of the school's front doors. Never learned the story behind that. This is probably more NSFL. One morning during recess the neighbor, whose property was only separated from the school field by a little wire fence, small town New Zealand, came out and started sharpening his axe. He then called the kids over and cut the heads of his 3 puppies off in front of us. This was in primary/elementary school. In 11th grade English, the desks were in a U-shape so some students were facing each other from across the room. This is important later on. So I had a few girls in my class I thought were attractive and there was this one girl who was a cheerleader. She sat directly across from me so I could see her face rather than the back of her head. So anyways, because I was able to see her face, I was also able to see the rest of the front of her body. So one day while my teacher is reading us a book, this girl was wearing a fairly short skirt. I happened to just glance and saw up it. Being a horny 16 to 17-year-old, I glanced here and there. Eventually, she noticed, and you would think that when you notice someone looking, you'd close your legs. The opposite happened. I had been wearing athletic shorts as it was a hot April day, so this girl is spreading her legs whilst wearing a short skirt and a thong. She kept looking at me and kept spreading until she couldn't spread much further. I obviously had a boner and I'm almost certain she must have seen cause she was biting her lip, and I swear to God, I could have sworn she'd moved her thong over just enough to show her vagina slightly. Now keep in mind, there was maybe 10 people in that class including me, and the side I was on had 5 or so of us and was majority girls with the exception of me and a gay guy, so she was definitely showing me. Being awkward as hell though, I never bothered to talk to her much or anything, so I never got any chance to ask her out or anything, but that was probably the hottest thing I'd seen in high school. Edit, typos. Walked over to the local church where my buddy and resident school 10/10ths were last seen. I start using a small flashlight because it was dark as fuck and heard rustling near some pine trees. I heard whispering and being sober just flat out yelled, "If you two are fucking, just let me know so I can turn around." Yeah, we are, but my buddy Sean walks out, shirt covering his dick. Can you go find me a condom, dude? I walked back to the house, found a condom in my buddy's room, took it back and laid it down where I got to see the 10/10ths naked. Thanks, bro. 11th grade everyone. Edit. I also have way dumber stories about Sean and our other friend Bobo. Edit 2. Thanks for the gold about me describing my dumb high school antics. Edit 3. If anyone wants to hear about the first time Sean and I went to a strip club, let me know. In high school, I was in the stall next to some kid masturbating. The awkward thing was that he was in the girls' bathroom. In middle school, when I was in 8th grade, I walked in on 2 6th graders banging in the bathroom. I noped the fuck out. I walked into the bathroom and saw about 6 guys and 1 girl. It was a real bukkake. Some kid took a video of another kid jerking it in a stall to some porn. What baffles me is how he was able to get porn on the school iPad. Junior high. But saw 3 boys comparing wieners behind a bush. Mandatory showering after junior high gym in a class with a 2.5 to 3 feet tall little person. No one blamed him for punching dicks that swang at him or even just in his general direction. He punched a lot of dicks in their dicks. Some 8th graders at my high school, middle school and high school are at the same building, got caught giving oral during class under a table. They got suspended for a week or so, but that's about all that became of that. My high school had a lock-in every year where you basically stayed at the high school and weren't allowed to leave from like 6 p.m., midnight. They were usually pretty boring and stupid as shit. BC students had to bring their own consoles and could only bring E-rated games and PG-rated movies. Anyways, there was an upstairs to my school, but it was only 2 rooms, one of them was locked and the other movies were playing in. I was watching movies upstairs, and when I went to use the bathroom up there, I opened the door to a full-on orgy. I mean like 8 kids, and it wasn't even that big of a bathroom. I don't understand why they wouldn't lock the door. I really wish they did, so I didn't see that. I then went downstairs to the locker room, where a bunch of kids, this was the boys' locker room but there was like 10 guys and 10 girls, were playing Truth or Dare. I was a really shy and unpopular kid, so shit like that was weird for me. One of the girls saw me come in, and dared another girl to blow me in front of them. I got really embarrassed and ran out of there as fast as I could. By that time it was only like 10, so I talked to the person running it and told them that I threw up and they let me leave. I never went to another one of those stupid things after that. Senior year, a guy got caught doing gay porn. He was the jock that got all the girls, super nice car, very good looking. That shook the entire school up. The rumor started on a Friday, everyone saw it over the weekend, and he had dropped out of school that following Monday. In English class, 10th grade, I was sitting next to this dude, for storytelling purposes, named Chad. Chad was always a little weird, and never really paid attention in class. He preferred to go on gag websites like Google Gravity and whatnot for the entirety of class, occasionally talking to me and showing off what weird shit he found. That was all good. Then one day, I looked over just out of curiosity for what weird shit he might have found that day. First thing I saw was that his screen was going through the standard Windows update/reboot screen. Then I saw his desk bouncing up and down somewhat. I just figured he was bouncing his legs with some ADHD type energy while he was waiting for his computer to finish updating. So I go back to my work. Few minutes later, he apparently started making sounds. I was unaware of this as I was watching YouTube. These sounds were heard by the group of talkative girls sitting a couple seats over. They, loudly, complained a lot to the teacher. So the teacher walked over and tried talking to Chad. When Chad saw the teacher walking over, he went into panic mode and tried to stealthily hide what he was doing. Naturally, he failed spectacularly and sent his desk forward and actually helped it fall on accident when he tried to save it. So Chad was sitting in his seat, one hand trying to pull his desk back up while the other was desperately grasping the zipper region of his pants. I only learned what happened after the fact, as I have a spectacular ability to ignore what's going on around me when I watch YouTube. However, I found out that he got suspended for a week. However, Chad went down as a legend around my school as the man who rubbed one out during English. He was highly respected among all the boys in the school for the next 2 years, and his reputation spread to the surrounding schools so that when I went to sporting events the opposing teams would ask me about him. 2 class clowns faking a gay relationship like faking kisses and stuff, half-naked boys whipping each other with towels in the locker room. Some kid shit in the bathroom sink in the girls' restroom. Oh God, I've been waiting to tell this story here on Reddit. This was last year. I was a freshman but there were a few sophomores in my English class. We were doing argumentative essays this week and were in the computer lab researching our topics. A few students were down the hall in the library because there weren't enough computers in the computer lab, and so she went to give them the same instructions she had just given us. Not long after she left the room I smelled something odd. At first, I thought she was just heating up her lunch a bit early. But then I remembered. There's no microwave in the computer lab. So I turned to my friend beside me to ask her if she smelled it as well. As I turned to the left I saw one of the sophomore girls with her pants completely removed. I was very taken aback by this, but even more so when I saw that there was a computer mouse halfway in her vagina. I just sat there, completely frozen. My friend noticed this and went to see what I was looking at. She said something and everyone else turned around to see the sight. Some people jumped out of their seats, making jokes and stuff. At this point the teacher walks back in and asks why people are out of their seat. And then she sees why. She screams and the girl leans forward to grab her pants, but had not yet removed the mouse. The pressure applied broke the cheap mouse inside of her. The nurse was called over there. They had to call an ambulance and take her to the hospital. Edit, thank you for the 2 silvers. Smile. Edit number 2, thank you for the 3rd silver. Edit number 3, or look at the cute little self-care award. It's adorable. Smile. Walking in on people having intimate relations was not uncommon at house parties in high school. However, one time, this girl that I liked was at the same party I was at. She had been flirting with me quite a bit throughout the evening, but at one point she disappeared and was nowhere to be found. Trying to find a restroom, I stumbled into one of the bedrooms to find her getting gangbanged by 3 dudes. Walked out and breathed a huge sigh of relief for dodging that bullet. There was this not accessible to regular students hallway that connected the band room to the theater, and someone took a massive shit and smeared it all over the carpet into a giant swastika on the ground. This happened when I was a freshman and no lie, the stains in the carpet weren't completely gone until my senior year. Me and a couple other of the theater kids discovered it the day it happened and the smell was horrendous, more so than your regular shit smell. And to this day no one knows who did it. This only happened once, which made me think it was some kind of perverse scam. All of the girls in my high school were told they were going to get a breast exam during their PE class. In the locker room, we were told to strip down to our bras and underwear, and line up in front of this old doctor. There was no attending nurse, nor lesson in how to self-check for lumps, just this very sweaty, red-faced man, who one by one reached under our bra cups and coped a feel of teenage titty. He grabbed and squeezed like tooting a bike horn, honk honk, and that was it. That was our exam. We were a week away from graduating. Some dude decided to bring a USB full of anime porn and started whacking it in a teacher's office. He got caught by the teacher and another student and was forced to move schools. So here I was running late to my AP exam. Like almost everyone was already in the testing area. We have like 4 minutes until they probably lock us out. I'm talking to my girlfriend and all of a sudden I notice a girl getting real frisky with this guy. They're kind of tucked away in a corner but it's not particularly secure. They make out for a minute, he fingers her, she gives him he good suck, but then the guy's like shit I'ma miss my exam and so disengages and proceeds to get a 4 on an exam he should have failed. Senior year was wild. Somebody definitely saw that. This happened about a month ago. 2 kids were caught having sex in our band practice rooms. It wouldn't have been a big deal if they chose the empty ones, but they chose to do the devil's tango in the one with the couch, and they left a small stain on it. It so happens that I ended up sitting in that chair before I found out about the whole ordeal. My disgust was immeasurable. In high school I was in the anime club one day because my girlfriend was super into anime, I guess. Looked over to a bigger, awkward kid at one of the computers and he was masturbating under the table. I never mentioned it to anyone else in the room. Not even my girlfriend. This was before cell phones had passwords. Found a phone. Looked at the pictures to see who it was. Saw video of girl spreading peanut butter on her genitals and having her dog lick it off. Let's just say that my school was nicknamed Pregnant Valley for a reason. This didn't happen to me specifically, but it happened in the class that I happened to be in. I was in my theater class and we were practicing a play that we were going to do during one of the periods of school. 15 of us were on the stage with the theater teacher, working on our part. The 15 of us were robots that worked together as a machine, and the other 4 went with the student teacher cause they were the humans of the play. They went to one of the lecture halls and the student teacher flipped on the lights and they caught 2 people making out in the area, and the girl was giving the guy a hand job. Needless to say the 2 got out of there real quick with the guy zipping himself up. Well-known creep banged his furry girlfriend in one of the bathrooms. A few interesting thing about this one was, 1. There is a video too. They were only doing it in school because they kept getting caught by their parents, and 3. She was wearing a tail. Not sexy, sorry horny boys, but a kid had like 3 seizures waiting for the school bus. In Home EC, a kid pulled his dick out and set it on his desk and got the teacher to look at it. Nothing happened, she laughed it off. A few weeks later, another kid in the same class crushed up a Tic Tac and the teacher watched him do a line of it. She called the police, had drug dogs come in, and had the kid suspended for a week or 2. Same teacher made us read aloud what we were reading in study hall once. Bad idea. It was a bunch of blowjob tips from 17 magazine, or similar magazine. Each one of us chose to, take a turn reading one, each person yelling the tip to all who could hear. Freshman year, our chemistry teacher taught us how to make gunpowder. We were supposed to light it all in the flame hood. Made a huge batch, put it in a 2-liter bottle and blew it up outside. Ironically, cops weren't called for that one. Drew a bunch of dicks on rival team school buses during a basketball tournament. It was orchestrated so no one could tell who did it. Police got called in. It's a small town with 3 officers. 2 stayed inside with the kids, 1 had to scrub the dicks off the buses. Result, a bunch of kids had to wait in the gym for a few hours, and we got interrogated. No one confessed, so nothing happened there. Not really NSFW, but those and a few unmentionable events got us out of senior year a week early. The administration waited until a Friday and told us we were done with HS and to not come back until graduation. That was kind of cool, but we didn't get to have prank week. Not high school related, but happened during high school. Kid got a 50 calories rifle and took it out one night. They thought they saw a deer and shot it. Turned out to be a neighbor's cow. The poor thing didn't feel a thing. Another time someone was showing off a full auto AK. Super drunk parent had a flashback and went full commando and wrestled the gun away. I had to talk down a drunk, PTSD suffering guy into handing over a loaded rifle that he was pointing at me. I'm glad I was drunk for that one. I don't know which is the most NSFW experience. Each has their own merit. There was a teacher full on eating his girlfriend's mouth off on the bus in back of me on a field trip. Not that bad but still gross. They are married and have like 6 kids now. There is a boy and girl that'll quietly fuck during lunch behind a pillar. I came across it one day because I wanted to be outside by myself because depression, but well no. In my freshman year of high school this kid got caught masturbating under a table in Spanish class. The funny part was that the teacher thought he was on his phone and was telling him to get off. Everyone started watching him. He got suspended for a long time. Oh yeah, and one time my friend heard a guy sucking off some dude in a bathroom who he recognized from his shoes. Then he tried to take a picture of them, he only got their pants and shoes. He had to go to court but got off. He's an asshole, and his defense was that the dude was an asshole. Mind you, this is a hyper-conservative small town. Different one than the first incident. Saw a snake in school. Either a king cobra or a spitting cobra, both are endemic to the region. Noped the hell out of there by walking quickly in the opposite direction. I saw a couple holding hands once. This was back in 1980 or 1981, so it was huge news at my fairly small town high school. My friend and I were outside smoking and we saw two girls making out behind the dumpster. We said, we should keep this quiet. 15 minutes later the whole school knew. I blamed my friend.